What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today we want to talk about day one of the 2022 NFL Draft. Look at the players that have been drafted with a special eye on the NFC North players, and then take a look at day two and the players that might be available for the Bears at 39 and 48, and in round three with pick number 71. So let's get right into it and talk about round one. I think it was actually a pretty crazy one. Lots and lots of trades. I did not expect to be that much. Like, it was expected that there will be a rush for wide receivers, but I did not expect that to happen that quickly and that aggressively. But to start the draft off, the Jaguars selected Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Trayvon Walker from Georgia, highly talented, uh, athletic beast, great run stopper, but had limited amount of pass rushing snaps at Georgia. So he's somewhat more of a unproven player, but he has unlimited potential that needs to be unlocked. But if he's developed quickly by the Jags, I think he can develop into a all-pro player, obviously. So then at number two, the Detroit Lions took the chance on Aiden Hutchinson. He fell from the first overall pick, and I mean, this is a division rival, the Lions, and I think the Lions in general had a super good draft by now with only two picks, obviously, but two very good ones. Aiden Hutchinson is a very talented player and definitely a guy that we need to look out for. And another reason why the Bears should invest into the offensive line, because we don't want Justin Fields to get killed back there. And Aiden Hutchinson is definitely a dangerous player that we need to look out for. I think that's an excellent value pick for the Lions at 2. With the third pick, the Texans took Derek Stingley. I think that's a pretty solid pick. He's super talented, but I thought Sauce Gardner was kind of over him. The Jets then took Sauce Gardner after Stingley went, and I think the Jets got the better player or the more safe player. I mean, he is highly athletic, great frame for an NFL cornerback. He's so good, Sauce Gardner. But yeah, Stingley has the upside. I think he has even more potential. So the Texans gambled a bit, but I understand both sides and both teams got amazing cornerbacks. And the Giants at 5 were one of the most luckiest teams. I mean, they still had the top tackles, all of the three top tackles in the draft on board, and great pass rushers still available. And they went with Kayvon Thibodeau first, the edge from Oregon, highly talented, even though I think he's just a weird guy. I don't know what's up with him, but highly talented, great edge rusher for the Giants there at 5. And it made sense because there were three top tackles left on the board. And I mean, they only had one team in between their next pick. So only one offensive tackle will be gone by then. But they took the advantage, took the best edge rusher. I think that's a correct choice. And then the Panthers went with Ikem Ekwonu, offensive tackle / guard from NC State. I think that's an excellent pick, best offensive lineman in the draft. And then at 7, the Giants got lucky with Evan Neal, highest upside offensive tackle in the draft from Alabama. So the Giants really, with Thibodeau and Evan Neal, were able to land top dogs in this year's draft class with pick number 5 and 7. And then we can skip somewhat of the picks: the Falcons, Drake London; Seattle, Charles Cross, which is an excellent value pick; Jets, Garrett Wilson, also a insanely good draft. I think the Jets day one, definitely for me. Garrett Wilson, highly athletic and upside wide receiver. Olave went next to the Saints, great pick. And then we got the next division rival pick, which was the Lions. Again, they traded up from 32 and absolutely fleeced the Vikings, in my opinion. Got great value out of that deal, and they selected Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. Great pick. He will be injured. I don't think he will play. I don't think he will play mostly of the season. I don't know if he will be playing at all, but I mean, he has the highest upside out of any receiver in this year's draft class. If he wasn't injured, he would have been wide receiver 1 without a doubt. He is insanely fast. He is just different. Amazing route runner, great hands. Like, the Lions got a scary receiving core right now. DJ Chark is highly talented. Jameson Williams is super good. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is a very talented slot receiver as well. So the Lions really 2 home run hits, I think, in this year's draft already in round 1. And it will be interesting how they draft in the later rounds, but that was a pretty good pick as well. Then the Eagles got Jordan Davis, great value. Ravens got Kyle Hamilton. Houston Texans went with Kenyon Green. I think that's a bit high for me for Green, but Green is super talented, so I don't have a problem with that. Washington, who traded back, got Jahan Dotson at 16 receiver. I think that was kind of a reach. Dotson is somewhat of a not one dimensional player, but he's more of a deep threat that I don't know. I'm not the highest on Jahan Dotson. I mean, he was rumored to fall to the Bears eventually, and he got picked at 16, so that was a little high for me, but still a pretty good playmaker there. At 17, my favorite offensive lineman in the entire draft went Zion Johnson from Boston College. I think he's better than Kenyon Green, but I mean, that's amazing value for the Chargers there. I absolutely love that. Then you have Treylon Burks to the Titans who traded, and that's also crazy. They traded A.J. Brown away and picked somewhat of his replacement because he was compared so much to him, Treylon Burks. Um, so another receiver before the 20s. And then we have Trevor Penning to the Saints. Pretty good player that has a lot of upside, but is so raw, it's insane. And then one of the bigger surprises for me, pick 20, Pittsburgh Steelers. They take Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, so hometown kid, but I don't know. Kenny Pickett is good, but for me, Malik Willis was the clear-cut quarterback number one, and then also Desmond Ridder. I had him over Kenny Pickett. I just don't see the highest upside with Kenny Pickett. I think he's the most ready out of all of the quarterbacks, but I don't know. You got Trubisky. Why not take Malik Willis and develop him under Trubisky? He doesn't have to start right away, but I don't know. Whatever. I did not like that pick that much, but let's see how that works out for them. Maybe we're all wrong and Kenny Pickett will turn out to be an all pro quarterback. Who knows? Then the Chiefs at 20 traded up and went with Trent McDuffie, extremely good value at 21. And then we got the Green Bay Packers. Oh man, I love this. Packers at 22. Who did that go with? You think they will go with wide receiver? You wish. They went with Quay Walker, linebacker from Georgia. I mean, Quay Walker is an amazing player, and I love him. He's good. He's great. I think he's highly talented, but not at 22. Like, I think that's in reach. Before Devin Lloyd, before Nakobe Dean, I mean, Quay Walker is good, like I said, but not at 22, and especially no wide receiver have been taken. And yes, there are talented wide receivers on the board, like George Pickens, Christian Watson. They all could have went in round one, in my opinion, but they went with linebacker. And I mean, we still have to look at the other side of the ball. I mean, we have to score on them as well if you want to beat them. So Quay Walker doesn't help our chances of scoring against them, but it also helps our chances of not letting them score on us because they don't have any weapons yet. Let's see what happens within the next couple of days. Number 23, Kaiir Elam, cornerback Florida. Good pick. Cowboys went with Tyler Smith. Also pretty good. Linderbaum went in round one, so the rumors of him falling to round two were not true. Same with Tyler Smith. He won't be available for the Bears here. Jets, insane value pick in my opinion. Jermaine Johnson, defensive end, Florida State. He is super talented. I think he's amazing, and that he went that late in the draft was kind of shocking to me. I had him mocked in the top 10 even. So insane value for the Jets. Then you have Devin Lloyd to the Jaguars, also very good value. And then you have the Packers again on the clock. And you think they go receiver or offense here to help Aaron Rodgers? No. They take Devontae White, defensive tackle from Georgia. And I somewhat like this pick more for them, actually, to be honest, because Devontae White is a pass rush D-tackle machine. He's amazing. He would have been an amazing 3-tech for the Bears, but I did not expect him to fall into round two anyways. But Devontae White is a force in the middle of the defense, and it makes the Packers D-line even better. So, like with Quay Walker, they're strengthening their defense. So, I don't know if they have some plan on offense or not. But as a offensive standpoint from the Bears, it's tough to play the Packers, right? Devontae White is highly talented. Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, they got a lot of talent there. We have to be that honest. But, I mean, they still did not add any offense and stole a receiver from the Bears. So I like that. And then you have Cole Strange. Probably the biggest reach by the Patriots. If you saw that video of Sean McVay reacting to it, that was kind of funny because they thought he would be available at around 104. And it's just such a Patriots pick, but Cole Strange is highly talented. Like, I think he will be pretty good, especially now that he has landed on the Patriots. But still, such a Patriots pick. It's unbelievable. And then you have George Karlaftis going at 30, edge from Purdue to the Chiefs. I think that's a great value pick, but I'm also happy that the Chiefs did not go with wide receiver. They want to stick with that in round 2 as well. So the chances of a great receiver falling to the Bears are getting higher and higher. And then you have the end of round 2 with Dax Hill, safety from Michigan, to the Bengals. And our division rival, the Vikings, draft Lewis Cine, safety from Georgia. And I mean, they did not go out of that first round with a cornerback, with Andrew Booth still available, but I think Lewis Cine is actually a pretty good pick for the Vikings. I think they got the worst value out of that Lions trade, but Lewis Cine is a good player. He's a hard hitter. He is crazy fast, and like they had Harrison Smith for all those years, and now they have Lewis Cine. I mean, they got good safeties, and I accept that, but yeah, solid pick. Nothing more to add to that. So, guys, I think in general, it's a pretty cool first round. It was fun to watch. Lots of crazy trades. Hollywood Brown got traded as well. So, lots of crazy things happened. And let's actually look at the guys that fell into round 2 that could potentially be beneficial for the Bears. And there are a lot of good ones, guys. But before we want to talk about, and I want to approach it like that, we go over the Bears' needs and look who's left there. I also want to mention Malik Willis dropped into round 2, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, Carson Strong, all the quarterbacks besides Kenny Pickett still available, which is great because that also takes away great skill players from teams that now will take a quarterback, and that leaves them players available for the Bears, which is great as well. So let's start off with the 2 biggest needs, and let's start off with wide receiver first. And I mean, such a deep draft class. It's insane. Christian Watson is still available. Sky Moore, George Pickens, John Mechie, Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert, Calvin Austin, Khalil Shakir, David Bell, Wan'Dale Robinson. Obviously, those guys are later picks. So we want to talk about the guys that are potentially available at 39 and 48. And the most notably ones are obviously Christian Watson and George Pickens, the guys that us Bears fans wanted on the Bears for such a long time now. And I don't care who they get, George Pickens or Christian Watson. Like I said in my mock draft, I like Christian Watson a bit better. Also because George Pickens has somewhat of character issues that came out over the last couple of weeks, some maturity stuff, and also the injury, but I have them almost on the same level, so don't get me wrong, guys. But I just love Christian Watson. Sky Moore would be okay as well, but I think we really should go after that big body receiver. And then maybe in the later rounds, in the 3rd round with pick 71, you can attack a guy like Alec Pierce, John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert, all those guys, I think. But still, lots of receiving talent still on the board, especially early on in the 2nd round. So it will be interesting how everything will fall. But yeah, good talent left in that position group. As for offensive tackles, there are also some pretty good ones left. The most notable one for me is definitely Bernhard Raimann, the Austrian from Central Michigan. And I mean, he is one of my favorite offensive tackles in this year's draft class, and I did not think he will be available in round 2. And I don't know if he will fall to 39, but if he does so, I think Bernhard Raimann is the best player available, period, especially for the Bears and their situation. He would be the instant starter at left tackle with such a crazy upside. I mean, the guy is crazy athletic, learned so much over the last 2 years, only 2 years of experience at tackle, I think. Played receiver before, bulked up to tight end, and then went to tackle and really learned so much and is already somewhat refined with his technique. Obviously, he's not perfect, but the guy is very good already. And I mean, Raimann, if he's available at 39, that should be a no-brainer. He fits Ryan Pohl's new approach on offensive linemen perfectly. He is fast, he is athletic, has a lot of upside. He is still available. So, like I said, if he falls to 39, you have to pick him there, I think. And then you can see which wide receivers were still available at 48 or trade back and see who was available back then and get the best receiver there. But Bernard Raymond would be a dream pick, and I did not think that was about to happen. Also, Abram Lucas from Washington State is still available. Nicholas Petit-Frere, even though I think he's somewhat of a third-round pick now, value-wise. Daniel Fa'alele is available. Very good talent still on offensive tackle. Moving on to the interior, my guy Dylan Parham is still available. He would definitely be worth a second-round selection, maybe not with that first pick, but trading back and with a later second-round pick. But he's highly talented. Darian Kennard, Sean Ryan, Jamari Sallier, Zach Tom, even though he could also play tackle, Zach Tom. Amazing interior offensive linemen still left on the board. So much to work with offensive line-wise. And then you have the centers. Cam Jurgens is still available. Luke Fortner, a guy that I love as well. So offensive line is still stacked. And, I mean, it will be interesting which direction the Bears will go. But, I mean, there are a lot of great options, and I just hope they don't mess up, but I have faith in Ryan Poles. Then we also have to look at defensive end because Arnold Ebiketie has fallen into the second round. A lot of draft analysts had him in round 1, and he luckily fell into round 2, so some team will get great value. I don't know if it will be the Bears. But, I mean, if a guy like Ebiketie falls to us, why not take him? Because he would be the best player available in round 2, period, I think. Maybe besides Andrew Booth Jr., who we will talk about in a second. It wouldn't be a big need, but, I mean, I would be okay with it. It wouldn't be my favorite pick, but he would be a very good player to add to the team. Also, Logan Hall fell in the draft. What means fell, but he was also getting some first round buzz. The Marvin Leal is still available, Cameron Thomas, so great players there. Nose tackle wise or 3-tech wise also, Travis Jones is still available from UConn. Perion Winfrey, who would be a great 3-tech for the Bears as well from Oklahoma, would be available. So 2 guys that we also have to look out for because that 3-tech position is still something they want to figure out. It wouldn't be the favorite position to target for me with the first pick, but if they do so, hey, it's a good player. Linebackers, lots of linebacker depth in this year's draft class. I absolutely love it, and especially one name that pops out to me is Nakobe Dean from Georgia. He is insanely talented. The only thing with him is probably he's somewhat undersized and projects as a hybrid player that's more active in coverage in the slot and that kind of stuff. But if you pair Nakobe Dean with Roquan Smith, I mean, we're talking about a elite linebacker duo. I mean, Nakobe Dean has elite instincts, great nose for the ball, tackles like a monster, hits hard, great in coverage. Like, the guy is amazing. It's just the height, but I don't care about that, to be honest. Christian Harris still available. Leo Chanel, Chat Muma, Channing Tindall, one of my favorite linebackers. You saw him in my mock drafts all the time. Troy Anderson, Montana State, highly talented. Brian Asamoah, Brenton Smith. I mean, it's either do you want Nakobe Dean, who is the best linebacker available, or do you want to take time and see who falls into your lap? Because it's such a deep draft class. I mean, I just counted 8 linebackers that are still available, and they won't go all within 8 picks. So there's a good chance that the Bears take a linebacker and get great value out of that later as well. Then some outside linebackers, some edge rushers. David Ojabo fell, obviously, like expected with his injury. Boye Mafe from Minnesota is highly talented. Drake Jackson, Nick Bonito, all some guys that are highly talented, but like with Arnold Ebiketie, I think edge is not the biggest need. And then moving on to corner. Corner is also very interesting, especially 4 guys that I want to mention. Andrew Booth Jr., who I thought was for sure a first-round pick, fell into the second round. Kyler Gordon from Washington also fell into round 2. He was getting first-round hype in the last couple of days. So 2 cornerbacks I wouldn't be mad going with. Instant starters who will contribute right away next to Jalen Johnson at the outside cornerback 2 spot. Roger McCreary is still available from Auburn. He was somewhat of a second-round pick, but he's also highly talented. I would love him. And then Tariq Woolen from UTSA, who is such a athletic freak. Like if you get Christian Watson and Tariq Woolen later with the second pick in the second, it would be probably the craziest athletic, physical freak combo that you can get. I mean, the guy's 6'3", ran a 4.26, if I'm not mistaken, and he's great. He's highly talented. He just got some technique stuff, some stiff hips as well. So he's a bit more raw, but would be a great pick as well. And then the last position we want to look at is safety. Lots of great safeties left. Jalen Petrie, Jaquan Brisker, Kirby Joseph, Nick Cross, my guy from Maryland. Amazing, amazing safety as well. Brian Cook, JT Woods, but those are probably a bit more later round guys. But Petrie and Jaquan Brisker will be two amazing safeties as well. They're still available that can lock up tight ends and play multiple roles on defense. But yeah, guys, this is basically the list of players that are still available for the Bears tomorrow. I will keep you guys updated on all of the picks. I will give you my live reactions. I always have to cut them though, so it won't be coming out immediately after the draft pick, but I will get them out as fast as possible for you guys. It was a fun day one of the 2022 NFL Draft, and I can't wait to see what rookie GM Ryan Poles is doing with his first pick as the Bears GM. Lots of great players left, like I said, especially at O-line and wide receiver. Cornerback provides some great value as well, so it will be interesting what will happen. I'm so excited for day two, guys, but that actually wraps up the episode. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram for the latest news. And as always, guys, bear down.